video, we're going to add the ability to update a planet to our planet database. So we have a definition of the planet here, a simple single table database, ID, name, distance, period. The ID is a column, it's an integer, it'll be auto-incremented. The name of the planet, its distance from the sun, its period, the time it takes to go around the sun. I want to, I've sort of killed the database file, so I need to sort of reload it. So I'm running the load code, reads the CSV, enters the data. Again, the ID is auto-incremented here. So I just created this little database here, planet on DB. The only thing odd in the definition here was I was doing this check same thread false thing to sort of save myself some hassle. Okay. And then let's maybe run a little query here and just sort of at the end see that I have some planets. Okay, so you see down there in the terminal something with the planets at the end. Okay. So I have planets in the database, and now let's get on to the form for updating a planet. It's going to be a very rudimentary form. I just want to make sure that I've covered all of the main data manipulation actions that can occur in a database. So we've had plenty of queries, which is a select. In other databases, I've done an insert. And of course, we're doing an insert here in the load file, but I've also, in videos for different databases, shown how to sort of have a form and allow a user to do an insert. We have a delete, a route that allows the user to delete a planet. And now we want to add to that the last of the four select, insert, delete, update. We want to add update to be able to change the data of a planet. So that's what we're adding, a route to do that. We'll pop over to my sort of WTForms oriented Python file here. And that we're going to define a form, a sort of very, again, rudimentary form for updating a planet. So this is just a big comment because previously I had been getting the data. I want there's going to be a select field, drop down the list of the planets. So you're going to be able to pick a planet, and then there'll be a place to sort of enter a new name, a new distance, a new period, and then we'll hit update. And again, very rudimentary. These boxes are going to be empty, so it's not going to display for us. If we choose Pluto, it's not going to tell us any of this stuff. So I'm just going to sort of make up numbers. And we need to do a better job. I need to do a better job at having a better version of update, but I wanted to at least have all of the four main actions covered. Now I do want, so there's no default here. I'm not putting in the actual data, but for the planets, I want that to be controlled. So I want to have choices, but I've decided to move the setting up of the choices over to my routing form. So that's going to be in app planet routes. So originally I was populating it here. Now I'm populating it over in the routes. Because I have a delete and now I'm making an update, things can't change, including the name of the planet. So I want to have this information where it can be in the routes fresh. So I will have, so let's pop over to routes. And I have a number of routes. I have just a simple HTML table. I have a data table that uses old jQuery. I have a newer data table that uses GridJS. I have an API. I have, here's my delete form. And then finally, now here's my update form. And so within each route, I am sort of updating the data needed by that route so that that data is always fresh. Because the user in my layouts, I have this sort of navigation scheme that allows them to go from route to route, and I don't know what order they'll visit the routes in. And so they might have deleted some things before they came to update. And so I need to know that. So I'm getting fresh data for the route. I queried the planet table. I made this, and what WTForms wants for the choices is a list of tuples. And so this is my list I'm going to use. And then internally, I would eventually I want a tuple, but I have to make a list because tuples are not mutable. And so I am adding the ID and adding the planet name, and then I am casting that as a tuple and then adding it to so I'm creating the list of tuples. Then I sort of instantiate my update form and set the planet underscore ID choices to the planet choices. So that is where I'm sort of saying here are the list of planets that I can update. And now form is submitted. This is, you bring over the user has entered some data and hit submit, and then we're coming here. Is submitted. We're getting the results from that page. One of the results is the planet ID, which was passed. We pass an ID. We are getting that planet, and so we're finding using our session to sort of establish that one planet. And then I'm just announcing that I'm going to, these will appear down in the terminal, announcing that I'm going to update it. And then I'm saying that planet's name is what came from the form, and its distance and its period. And then, of course, commit, or nothing happens in the database if you don't commit. And then depending on what I did. So there are various things I could do to sort of after I've updated, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I could make sort of a simple handler page and said, this planet changed to the following data. I didn't do that. I could go to an existing HTML table that already exists. And if I were doing that, that's what sort of this is for. Like if I were going to my HTML table or the jQuery data table, then I would want that data fresh. And so that's here from when I was doing that. So I could comment that out because that approach is commented out. And what I decided to do finally, instead of either having a completely new handler page to say that, or going over to a different data table, I decided to redirect. And each route itself has this update. So I don't need this update if I redirect. I need this update if, say, I'm going straight over to a planet data table, then I want the fresh data. So this code really goes with sort of this approach of render template. If I redirect, then that is unnecessary because each route is doing its own update. Even though this is in code-wise down at the bottom, here is if I'm going to the update page for the first time, not responding to a submission. And as I say, I gave the title "Crappy Update Planet Form" because it's not showing you the old data, so you don't know what you're changing it from. So that's, and at least in my mind, what makes it pretty crappy. I must have in the templates a table or a page for doing the implement. So here's my planet ID, my planet name, the distance, and the period. And then I've added to all the layouts this new route. So I've added the route to all that. And again, I didn't make a separate handler for this. I'm directing them to the GridJS. All right, so I've updated I ran load and have planets and tested that with a query. So it's all about the routes. I'm going to, you can start these things in various ways. Sometimes you can just click the green, the arrow at the top, and that's fine. Every once in a while, it gives me a problem. And when it gives me a problem, then I like to do it command line. And it was, it had recently given me a problem. So I'm going command line. Not sure I have to. And control click and open this up. Okay, so here we go. We have many routes that we've seen before, but let's go to update. And I have my drop down of planets. So let's go to, I don't know, Mars, and I'll rename it the War Planet, or something like that. And I'll just put in some numbers, 4.56. 4.56. I'm just making up numbers because I don't know them. That's why this is a crappy update, because what I really like to do in the longer run is one of two things, or maybe both. I would like to have like an I'll call it like autocomplete, not autocomplete, but auto submission. Where so I would like choosing Mars to sort of do like a submission. But if I'm choosing Mars, then it will come back to this form with the Mars data filled in, and then I can change it and click update. So that's one improvement that I might like. The other improvement I might like is to sort of take this GridJS data table and add a functionality like within the table, so you can find the planet within the table and then make that table editable and then have a button that does the update. So that is probably for some future video, hopefully, but this is just a crappy update. So I am changing Mars. I choose Mars. I'm changing its name. I'm changing the distance and the period, and I'm saying update. And it threw me over to the GridJS. That's what I asked for, the redirect. And then here's the renamed Mars and the changed distance and the changed period. And everybody gets updated info. So everybody knows that it's now the War Planet, including the API, the War Planet. And delete knows that it's the War Planet. I haven't changed the ID, but I have changed the name. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to show you with this one, adding that last, at least in some way, that last data manipulation functionality. Select, insert, delete, and update. So now we can do all of the main database functions for these. And we also have create, since we created the database in the define page. Thanks for your attention.